Welcome everybody to the Magic Beans podcast. We are back again for episode number 37, continuing our Evergreen series with an episode from Cracker and Chewy on the Magic community. But before we get into that, we just wanted to announce that our August League is about to kick off. We launched this since the previous podcast, and with the recording of our next usual podcast being another week away, we thought we better put an announcement at the start of the episode. So here it is, the announcement for our August League. Registrations are now open. You can join our league by coming into our Discord and grabbing all the details from there. Our link for our Discord is on our Twitter, which is at MagicBeansCast, or on our Facebook page, all those sorts of things. It will be signing up through Challenge again. And it'll be kicking off on about the 20th of July. Running for about 6 weeks for our round robin bracket section, and then we will be streaming and commentating the finals after that. So as always, it is free to enter, open to anybody, any skill levels from anywhere around the world. Everyone gets placed into a group. You have to play everybody in your group once, and you can play them in any order, which means you just arrange the matches for a time that suits you. If that means you're in a different time zone to somebody else, then it's not that hard to arrange a time that's suitable for both of you. So it's always a lot of fun. We would really like if you'd come and join us. So yeah, find the link for our Discord. The link for the league and our Discord will be in the show notes of this podcast and also on our Twitter. So come and find us there. And we hope to see you in our league. Currently, we're sitting at about 25 players as of recording, so it's our biggest one to date. That's enough from me. I will let Cracker and Chewy take over, and we hope that you enjoy this episode.
So we've got a really interesting topic and something that's quite close to both of us. We're going to talk about the Magic community today.
Good topic.
It is.
Whoever came up with this one's really onto it, I reckon.
Yeah, what a champion. You thought this would be particularly, despite being Evergreen, quite timely at the moment. We're midway through 2020. If you're listening to this in the future, hello. We're right in the middle of the COVID lockdown and things are a bit weird. And so we thought we'd have a chat about how you can make it less weird. And one of the ways is to have interesting hobbies and people to share it with. But there can be some challenges in working out how to do that. So we thought we'd see if we could maybe help you along the way a little bit. So Chewy, tell us about this Magic community. What is it?
Well, the Magic community is, something that we're all probably aware of, anybody who has gone to their local game store or to an event or anything like that. But actually trying to define it can be a bit difficult. But, it's effectively a collection of players that come together to share their knowledge, experience, to socialize, but fundamentally to be around people that share their love of the game, right? So one of the things that makes Magic so good is there are so many facets to it. People love the game for different reasons. The competitiveness, the art, the intricacies of the stack, the themes of the decks. Myself, I love this game. One of the main things that I love about this game is the people that I've met playing it, and the lifelong friends that I've made through this game and through shared experiences within the game. So, it's a group of like-minded people that are all here to share what they know and their passion for the greatest game ever. So that's how I would define it. Have you got anything to add to that, or a different perspective?
No, I think you really nailed it. And look, if you're listening to this podcast, you are part of the Magic community, right?
Absolutely.
You can be as invested as you want into it, or kind of as remote as you can. And your community can be the couple of people that you play with on the kitchen table, or it can be the GP circuit, or the people that you see on stream, or follow on Twitter. It's
the podcasts that you listen to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. It's in the name of the game, right? It's Magic the Gathering. And I think that if you talk to anyone who's been playing the game for a long time, that's the part that kind of keeps them coming back. We go through standards that are, broken and horrible and people hate them and, they're just always whinging. They're still playing Magic. They're still talking to their Magic friends. And you'll find that the people who are drawn to this kind of game, and it's complicated, and it forces people to think in certain ways, and we approach things differently. But you'll find people with kind of similar mindsets and approaches to things, and you'll find that if you like Magic together, there's probably a whole lot of other common ground that you've got with people that you can kind of build on, like you're saying, friendships that you're people you've known for 15, 20 years that you haven't played Magic with in forever, but you still keep in touch with, right?
Absolutely. And what I love about Magic as well is you can have nothing else in common with that person and still get along with them really well. But your outlook on life and your lifestyle, your whatever, politics or whatever it might be completely opposite to somebody, but you've got something in common, and it's a bridge and a vehicle to grow and learn and have those conversations and learn other people's perspectives as well. So it's a social vehicle, I guess, as much as it is a challenging and rewarding game. So I love that because, by virtue of the game, you spend time with people and you have those, non-Magic conversations, but you've always got that as an icebreaker, as a foundation. So I like that aspect of it as well. So it is really, really good. And, I'll just circle back on one little point that you made there where we have bad formats and people complain.
Sure.
The complaints come from a love and a passion for the game, mostly. I think, there are people out there that might be unhappy with a particular situation, but they care enough about the game that, they care enough to voice their concern or their dislike or whatever it might be. So even though, people might be having a gripe, and I don't so much personally enjoy people that gripe about it, but ultimately they're doing that because they love the game and they share a love for the same game as I do. So that's an important sort of perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because otherwise people would just leave, right? They would just not continue. If you hated it that much, like if you hate a video game and you're like, well, this thing is terrible, I just don't want to play it.
You just uninstall it and away you go. Right?
Exactly, you just don't play it. So but Magic, man, it's got deep hooks.
Oh, doesn't it?
To you?
Oh, it's bar, the trebles for any fishermen out there, more than just a hook. So, yeah.
So how did the hooks get sunk into you? How did you get started?
Well, I won't risk duplicating, previous episodes of our cast, sure. But I'll focus on the community side of things. But I was lucky enough to, the first introduction I had to the Magic community was just overwhelmingly positive and supportive for new players. And it was a store in Melbourne at the time on Chapel Street by the name of Card Heaven. And I went there with, my pre-constructed deck for, they ran F&M, an extension of F&M on a Saturday morning. And, I went there and went, this is my first tournament, signed up for my DCI number and played the event. And it was a 3-round F&M and my opponents were amazing. Like they were all experienced Magic players that were playing like meta decks. And I had my, White Weenie equipment pre-con thing in, 5th Dawn era. And the skirmisher guy, I can't remember his name, is a double striking flyer. I put a sort of fire and ice on him at one point, and that was awesome. And, my opponents, saw that, the joy that gave me, and it was infectious for them. And then, I had a really positive experience. So I went back to that store. The staff at the store were amazing. The regulars in the store were great. And there was so many times where I'd go in and I'd be like, I want to make a demon deck, because I'm a new player and that's sure. What you do. And, the guy behind the counter and, an old Magic player from Melbourne by the name of Mikey, spent like 2 hours with me making this demon deck, which was terrible because we were starting on a bad premise, but I had an absolutely amazing time, and I just kept going to tournaments there, and then I met people, and I learned about other formats, and it's like, oh, what's this draft thing? And then there were people out there that went, oh, let's show you how to draft. And this was the days before YouTube and Twitch were really a thing. And
showing your age there.
I know, right? I really am. But there were draft articles on websites like Star City where they talked about different picks and went through the draft. And, we would sit there in the store in front of the computer and there'd be 5 or 6 people and we would go through and we would discuss why they took that pick and debated it. And we created this little wave of players that were, fairly new or, wanting to get better. And we sort of came up through the community together. And before we knew it, we were playing against each other in top 8s of PTQs or at states and seeing each other at nationals. And I was even lucky enough to, play on the same pro tour as one of those guys. So it was, we formed this bond, because we were all pushing each other and driving each other and encouraging one another and working on decks. And we just created this little hub of like-minded people that were part of a greater community, because we all had our own separate friends that all played the game as well, but we all had this sort of these people that you get to. And it was before, social media really. So it was, forums, back in the day. And, we would talk all the time and share ideas. And yeah, it was knowledge sharing, encouragement, banter. There was, if you did something wrong, they let you know about it. And, if they had an idea that, but it was all from a good space. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. So it was, that's what really got me hooked. And through that small group, I made friends in the wider community and before I knew it, I was probably playing too much Magic, but yeah, it was, there are still people today that I go to events and you've been to Grand Prix and PTQs with me and, I know 1 in 3 people in the room pretty much. So I really do, value those friendships. It's become more than Magic for me in that sense. And that's the Magic community is just as important or more important often, depending on where you're at. And given, the times that we're at the moment, people in isolation, sometimes their local Magic community needs to fill a much larger part of their life than it would ordinarily. And just having a group of people that, can support one another when, stuff's a bit weird is incredible. But anyway, I've talked a lot about my, how I got involved. What about yourself? Someone who's not been as focused on the competitive side of things over the years. What got you involved?
Yeah. So my path was a little different. I actually had one of my friends say, "Hey, you should come over. I went to this game shop today and these guys gave me some Magic decks and I thought we could learn it together." And I was like, "Oh, all right, sure, whatever, sounds good." We'd played D&D together and we'd played some other board games and stuff. And so, yeah, went to his place and he had these pre-constructed decks that were literally stacked. Like the way Wizards used to teach how to play Magic from scratch was with like step-by-step instructional cards, and the deck was literally like, don't shuffle it, just take it out, put it down, and you draw your hand and it'll be like, play your island. And then, you draw your card, and it kind of gave you a play-by-play through a real game.
I guess the modern-day equivalent of that is playing against Sparky on the Arena.
Yeah, it is
thing, right? Yeah. So, but it was physical cards.
It was physical cards, yeah. And that was kind of where I started, and played for a bit with him, and then you guys were playing a bunch as well, and obviously I knew you through other circles, and we started hanging out a bit. So I bought some cards and we played a bit, and then I kind of fell away about the time you started getting really serious because you were much more invested in it than I was, and some of the other people were as well, and it just kind of, my interest waned a little bit. And then I came back a bit later on when, actually a bunch of years later when, you guys were starting to play again. And I sort of kept in touch with the guy I first started playing with. We worked together for a lot of years, and we would play like Commander at lunchtime and things. And so we would just buy like a pre-constructed deck, and you would kind of go to the game shop and see people and meet people and things. And, you get to know people a little bit. And then, it's you and Shorty. It's your fault, really.
Yeah. Well, for me, it actually started with Shorty, so it's all Shorty's fault.
Yeah.
But I think you make an interesting point there. Like, I had a 5-year hiatus from playing Magic tournaments. Yeah. I still played online. I'd still go to a pre-release, the occasional draft, but, I've stopped going to PTQs and all the rest of it. All of the friendships didn't stop though. The involvement in the game paused. but all the relationships continued. And look, I've, as you said, we know each other from other circles, and I've got some, really strong relationships, deep-rooted relationships in other circles as well. But I've always got people from Magic that, I know that, they're always there, and I'm always there for them. So yeah, you can come in and out of the game, but, the people will always play a part of it. So it's an interesting sort of dynamic because, there are other games where that doesn't happen as much. So, other communities. So Magic players seem to bond more than other games that I've played over the journey. So, yeah. So we've just sort of given our sort of background, sort of what got us in there and what the Magic community means to us. Things are a little different now. And I know we try to make this evergreen, but given what's going on,
you can't just drop into your LGS and draft.
No, the landscape's changed, right? Yeah.
And like that was kind of, when I started playing more, that would be, what I would do as well as I would, go to my local game store and see people, and you get to know the store owner because you're just dropping in to buy sleeves, but he lets you look at the foils, and you chat, right? Because you're there looking at stuff and they're at the counter just, ready to answer your questions.
Yeah, like so many cards from my cube have come from the junk rares or foil ones.
The dollar rare box, man.
And you find some gems in there. So you just flick through that as you're chatting to the store owner, and you spend $3 and then you buy a drink and then you buy some sleeves. So like you've spent $20 or whatever, but you've built that, relationship and the rapport with the store owner, and, and away you go. So, but that, even that is a little different now. So we're more reliant on things that are online, because we can't physically hang out. And, we were lamenting just today that, we got a Facebook memory that came up, where we played a team Grand Prix. Shorty, yourself and I. It was kind of the birth of the Magic Beans.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah. And, it
was bittersweet, right? Because we remembered how much fun we'd had for that weekend, just jamming Magic and hanging out. And then, we had an event we couldn't go to in a couple of months, and it's been cancelled.
Exactly. So getting involved now is very different. So, there are a number of tools now though that let you get involved. You can, find a streamer that you like and be active in their chat. And everybody seems to have a Discord channel at the moment, local stores, podcasts, all these other, communities. Discord seems to be the preferred option. So if you're not signed up for Discord and you have a Magic itch that needs to be scratched, I recommend getting on that, because, it could be your local game store may very well be running F&M or a league. And, I don't want to plug our Discord too much, but, we do, but we're not the only ones out there. So, and I massively encourage you to support your local game store through their online presence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that is the theme for both of us in our sort of preamble there was all around your LGS, all around your local game store. Yeah, well, absolutely.
I mean, the way that we both got started was people being generous with their time and their knowledge from an LGS, right? And that is the core of how this product runs. Like Wizards makes cool cards, but the people and the local game stores are the community. They're the thing that make it exist.
That's the lifeblood, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you get involved then? When you join a Discord server, you sign up to your LGS Discord server or your favorite podcast Discord, and you what do you do? What do you do from there?
I mean, one of the things I really like about Discord over things like I follow a lot of people on Twitter, right? Like there's a whole bunch of Magic pros, and, there's like 20 Wizards accounts, and, there's like the big stores like Channel Fireball and Star City and all that stuff. But it still feels a little bit to me like shouting into the void.
Yeah.
Right? I still feel like there's this, and part of it's probably my own personal relationship with social media, right? Is I'm not a huge fan of necessarily putting myself out there a lot. Like I like to consume stuff. I like to see things.
Says the guy recording a podcast.
Yeah. But this is different. Yep. But this is just me having a chat with my mate. And that's the way Discord feels to me. Is even like, not even just with ours, but with other ones that I've been involved with. It feels like a smaller community, and it feels
more like, personable.
kind of going into your LGS and just having a chat with people, and you'll find like a channel that's about Standard, and you can go, cool, I know that I'm going to find people in here talking about Standard. I can go, hey, I've been playing this deck, I'm wondering about these sideboard slots, what do you guys think? And you get to have this conversation, and it feels much more personable rather than just going, shouting, like I said, shouting into the void.
Absolutely. And in the same way that you would build relationships with those regulars or the store owners in your game store, you can a different version of, but you can build those same relationships with the people in the Discord. You know that, person Y or Joe Blogs or Sally NX they're really good at, modern, they play a lot of modern. So if you've got a modern question, you can at them, or, you might just want to hang out in the Commander channel and ask questions. And my experiences in Magic, and I've been playing Magic for over 15 years, 99.99999% of Magic players are willing to give you some time and advice. Like it can be hard to, put your hand up and go, hey guys, what do you think of this? And, the first time you put forth an idea, it's a bit daunting because, you're new and experienced players can be a little intimidating, but everybody remembers when they were in your shoes. So asking questions, don't be afraid to ask questions, at the store, if you're in your store's Discord, and say, hey, what do you think of this? And, you'll just chat to people. Just don't, take that step and don't be shy. I know that doesn't come naturally to everybody, but, people will respond positively the vast majority of the time. So,
yeah, I think it's really good for people who potentially are a little more introverted, because there's less, it's not confrontational. You don't have to walk up to someone and like tap them on the shoulder or sit down at their table, right? You can kind of still be somewhat removed in terms of, you can do it when it's convenient for you, when it suits you.
Yeah, your stuttering and social awkwardness doesn't necessarily come across in your typing, right? So,
yeah, correct. Yeah. You might take, 45 minutes to compose a 3-line message. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
And as part of that, it's more than just asking questions like, how do you do this? Or like, what do you think about this? It's getting involved in conversations.
Absolutely. And before you know it, you go from the one being helped to helping others, which is rewarding in itself. So yeah, I do love that, and we see that all the time. There's always someone better than you, right? And so there's always someone who's got advice for you, but then you learn and you add that to your own knowledge, and then before long, somebody's asking a question, and you're like, I have an opinion on that. What do you think of this? So yeah, so I think that's really, a really good, fun thing to do and see your own development. And that's another benefit, I guess, of being involved, is being involved in a Magic community. You're surrounding yourself with not only like-minded people, but people at different levels, people that, if they're newer or less experienced than you can get a lot out of, and you can actually learn a lot from teaching somebody, because they might, ask a question that you don't know the answer to right away, and you have to apply your experience and you can answer that. But also you have people that are more experienced than you, that are, a better player, for want of a better phrase. So, people that are, further on their Magic journey than you are, and you can glean information from them and you can get better. And they will encourage you, the community will encourage you, and, the rising tide, lifts all boats type mentality, right? And that seems to be really prevalent in the Magic community, and that's something I really love about it. So
yeah, very much so. Look, I'm a huge fan of knowing that I'm the dumbest guy in the room, right? Because then all I can do is learn and become not as dumb, or the gap between where the people you look up to and what they're able to do and where you are will shorten, will shrink.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, most of the time I feel that way in a Magic community. There's always so many people that are better than me. It's crazy. So yeah. And like, I'm always learning. I've been playing Magic for a really, really long time, and every single game I play, I learn something. So it's,
every single game I make a mistake, and as I'm making it and I can't click undo on Arena, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep,
okay.
absolutely.
Well, that's learned.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's, a really, a really powerful thing from a learning perspective. Sometimes, lessons come easier than other times, but, reaching out to the community lets you do that.
Yeah.
And, beyond the game, we've mentioned sort of friendships and relationships and stuff. And particularly in times like we're in, sometimes you just need to just play a game of Magic or have a chat to someone. And it's not about getting better. It's not about breaking the meta or, building a deck around, demons or whatever it might be. It's, you just need to connect. And, there's been a lot of focus in recent years on mental health and such. And that is a big thing that, we are, as a, society, are dealing with isolation and distancing, and feeling connected to your Magic community, is a really good, outlet for those that are struggling, or, a way to feel connected. And, it could just be the feeling of being involved, or, jumping in a voice channel on a Discord, or, chatting to people on a Twitch chat or whatever it might be, and, DMing someone on Twitter and starting those conversations. And, you don't need to necessarily say, hey, I'm struggling, but just having a chat or playing a game or whatever it might be is, cathartic in that respect. So that, I think, is probably one of the greatest benefits of the Magic community. And the Magic community is really good at that on an individual level. The Magic community can also do some really good work on a larger scale, charity events and such. And we've seen that in Australia. We've had, charity auctions, and, we raised a few dollars for a bushfire fund as an example. And it's, when you get those people together, that share that love and that passion for the game, it doesn't take too much of a suggestion for the community to kick into action. It's like, if somebody called me up and said, hey, this Magic player that, you used to play with 10 years ago is, having a bit of a rough time, I would not hesitate to pick up the phone and say, hi, we haven't spoken for a while. How are you? And it's a, that's the, I almost said that's the magic of Magic. But that's way too corny.
Wow,
but
even for you.
Yeah,
man,
even for me. But yeah, it's a, what that undo button that you're mentioning, can we do that in recording? Yeah. But yeah, it's it is, as I mentioned right at the start, it's a social vehicle, and you can build those relationships. And that just starts with talking about the game.
Yeah, look, honestly, the most fun I've ever had playing Magic, I couldn't tell you what happened. I have no idea what happened in the game or what I was playing or who won.
Yep.
Right? Like, it's just about, the conversations that I've had and the people that, you can just be friends with. And, there's so many good tools available. You can, like Chewy was saying, you can, talk to people on Discord. You can, do games of tabletop via Skype, where you've just got your playmat in front of you, and you're playing your physical cards, and you're just sharing a screen with people, and having a yak and stuff like that.
There's so much development going on in that space as well.
Yeah, it's
right?
great.
So
it's amazing.
Have a look at the at the options out there, and I know people have making stands for their webcams to look straight down out of their Lego and all sorts of stuff. So and you can even jump on Reddit and find instructions on how to do that. So forums like Reddit also really good. There's a lot of avenues out there. So whichever one, is your preferred one, you can, all but guarantee that, you will find some people that are your people, right?
Yeah, definitely. And also just, while there is the vast majority, like we've talked about, the community is amazing. There are pockets within any community that are full of people that are just negative, and, they're not looking to do the things that we are. And so don't ever feel like you have to stay in a position or talking to people that just don't make you feel good, right? Like if you're part of a Reddit thread and people are, saying rubbish things, or, dude, mute or block on Twitter. It's amazing. Yeah. Love it. You just see idiots spouting off and you're like, cool, I never want to see from you again. Goodbye. And like, you can just, self-regulate.
Yeah. Go and find someone who shares the game.
Well, there are so many awesome people. Just don't bother with the ones that are rubbish.
Exactly. And it's the vast minority that are the ones that you're referring to.
Yeah, they're just vocal.
Yes, absolutely. And it can be off-putting, particularly for new players and people that are new to those, communities. And it's the same as, online, same online as it could be in a store, right? So, there will be people that you click with and there will be people that you won't. But, we're all there to play cards and, there might be people that, your first impression isn't great, but, second chances and sharing passion for the game, you might build a good relationship with that person, or, you might just go, I don't have time for that. And you will find your people, very quickly. I'm 100% sure of that. There are so many avenues out there and, nothing quite replaces, your local game store or hanging out with your friends and such, but it is, it's a version of that, and you can still have that sort of that part of the game fulfilled.
It doesn't have to stop just because we have more restrictions in place. And look, it won't last forever, right? Things will change back in some form or another, and you can't expect us that this will continue as it is. So
no, that's right.
We will do the best we can while we can.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up our little Evergreen topic there on the Magic community. So just a bit of a recap. The find your people, whatever avenue you prefer. Social media, a Discord, Reddit, Twitch,
Facebook. Actually, there's a lot of really good Facebook communities you can find.
Absolutely, for formats, for specific decks, general stuff. Yeah. People in your area,
art, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, whatever you're into,
miscuts, whatever. Right, custom cards, you name it. It exists out there. So, have a look on there. Whatever it is about Magic that appeals to you, or whatever multiple facets of the game appeals to you, there'll be a community out there for it that you can be involved in and connect to others through. So, I think that's a really good point there. And, so find your community. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, ask questions, comment on other people's questions, and find those avenues to play the game with people, streaming things through Discord, playing over Skype. Jump on and stream to Twitch yourself, whatever it might be. And, find those people that want to play the game with you, or, find the people that you want to play with. And before you know it, you'll have your own little community of people from all over the world. And, they will be there for you and you for them. And, having that sort of unity at the moment with being so separate, I think it can only be a positive thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. We'll do our normal wrap ups then. So, we have our own Discord. You're welcome to join that. There are many, many Discords out there. This is not a plug for ours. I strongly recommend you find the Discord.
No, it absolutely is, but we can also point in the direction of a bunch of other really good ones too.
I cannot recommend enough finding the Discord or Facebook group or whatever it is for your local game store.
Yeah.
And because that's people in your area. And, there might be someone down the road from you that you didn't even realize played Magic. And once this is all over, you can tee up, meeting them at your local for F&M or whatever it might be. For the Magic Beans, you can find us on Twitter, at Magic Beans Cast. Search for Magic Beans Cast on Facebook and YouTube, or on Twitch at Magic Beans Cast. I am at Chewy MTG on Twitter, and your Twitter, Joel?
I am at JoelHill_.
Excellent. And if you're out there and you're struggling, and you're feeling disconnected from the community, feel free to ping us. We're up for a game of Magic, up for a chat. I have no qualifications in that space, but if you just want someone to hang out with, I'm more than willing to hang out with you. So
yeah, he's all right. He's a pretty good bloke to have a chat with.
I talk a lot. So,
correct. If you're willing to just sit there and be talked at, you'll be fine.
Exactly. So, okay. So thanks very much for tuning in, and, we'll touch base on our next Evergreen cast.
Thanks, everyone.